All right, so we are now live. We're now live on Facebook. So welcome everybody. I see we've got 6 people in the room. Welcome to Off the Record, Airtable Secrets and Lore. And this is week 8, which is crazy. It seems like we just started very recently, which we did. But we're a group of Airtable users who are exploring new ways to use Airtable to optimize their business and life. And we're also open to hearing anybody's experience, good or bad, using Airtable to make a positive impact in the world. So we promote people coming from any level to come share their experiences using Airtable. And sorry about that. But we also share our experiences, tips, and practices, as well as offer ways to get help, as well as get involved in the community, such as joining the stage up here. So we meet every Wednesday from 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time. So to kick things off, Chris, if you want to introduce yourself, and I'll introduce myself, as well as anybody who wants to on the stage, and then we'll go into Airtable news, any relevant news. So Chris.
Nice. My name is Chris Dancy, and I am joining Ben week 8. So this is new, Ben. We're trying to do the video and the audio. So we've got, because a lot of people can't join the Clubhouse, so we're trying to be more inclusive. For those of you who don't know me, you don't need to. And that's about it. Ben, it's just been another crazy week with Airtable. You want to take time to tell people who you are, but I think most people know.
Yeah, so let's make sure. Okay, so I was just checking to make sure we had audio in the Facebook group. So I'm a YouTuber. Half my time is spent with doing YouTube. The other half is spent helping business owners set up Airtable for their business, as well as Zapier in their business. So automating, kind of using Airtable as like the central hub and building the automations to make it come to life without them having to do all the day-to-day processes. So that's primarily what I do. And then I also am here in this community trying to grow this Clubhouse, because Clubhouse just started and I'm pretty excited. And I've also met Devin and Monty, who have been here almost since day 1. So I'm excited to hear from them as well.
Right.
Do you want us to say hi? I can say hi.
Definitely.
Hi, I'm Monty, and I provide project management and operations support to solopreneurs and startups. Airtable is one of my favorite tools to use, so that's how I ended up here. And yeah, excited to learn more. Livestream role. This is great.
Right. So cool. So Ben, I mean, this show is called Off the Record. So I mean, it wouldn't be the real Airtable show if we didn't actually start with something. And Ben, I sent you a link you might want to check out too. It wouldn't be a good Airtable show if we didn't start with the Airtable latest drama. So today, I don't know how many of you were affected, but today the news kind of was Airtable was down again. Airtable apparently goes down more than, well, we can't even make R-rated jokes, can we? Like I said to someone on Reddit, I said Airtable was a weekend at Bernie's lately. So what do you think is going on? Before we get into like best practices and tips from people, what do you think is going on with the Airtable?
So I think we've had this discussion like each of the past few weeks, and I feel like the biggest thing that this has been showing us is that something big's coming, like something on their development side. And one interesting thing that I picked up today was it's happening every Wednesday at like right around midday. Like it happens to go down every Wednesday during the middle of the day. So I don't know if there's something happening at Airtable. Maybe the developers are on break. I mentioned that in the Built on Air Slack community, but I feel like it must be some big releases that are coming out soon.
So yeah, today the other thing that seems to be happening is people's, I guess, integrations are breaking every single time too. So is this a known issue when Airtable goes down? Because I don't have integrations, because why torture yourself?
Yeah, so I have a lot of integrations set up, and they like right around the same time that Airtable went down, they said, or I got a bunch of error messages saying the automations went down. I'm not sure. I feel like that was not so much an issue in the past, but this one was an exceptionally long outage compared to the last few ones, I think, or at least seemed that way. So I think maybe we can get Kyle or Guy up here, because I know Guy does a lot of automations, but maybe Kyle can speak on this as well. So we'll invite both them up here.
While you're doing that, I just want to share some of these messages up on my screen here. We've got second month this time, Airtable down. Check your automations, right? I'm using Airtable as a backend for CMS, currently down. I'm very happy to have their engineers investigating and resolving the issue. So this guy says he can come out, take a walk. So Fariz here, he's getting this. Of course, there's my message. Now, Kevin here. Kevin just asked a very simple question. Airtable, are you down? I mean, you can tell, but Dave Jeffers on a tweet here, there on Focus Forte, his whole thing is the universe must hate me. The day I really try to get productive, Airtable's down. So it's just very, very sad. And also, if you jump over to Facebook, Facebook was a cornucopia of Airtable hate today. People started actually saying they're switching to a growth hacking lesson from Monday.com, because Monday.com bought Airtable down when it trended and started pushing their product. You can see a screenshot here in the on the screen. It's there's something going on here. I mean, people sense vulnerability in the creature. That's what I'm sensing.
Yeah, I've gotten that vibe a lot from business owners who like recently have set up like people commenting in the Facebook group, like, is this a common issue? And there's really not much response from Airtable in that group. Or it seems like from the tweets, like they'll have the status Airtable send out the tweet. But I think the business owners, they could use some reassurance on like whether or not this is going to be a long lasting issue that keeps coming up for the people using this like day to day. It's happened like in broad daylight.
Yeah, but the broad daylight. It's not a werewolf. Yeah. So are we streaming live to Facebook too? Anyone who wants to come and watch us do this live? Because we're going to be doing some screen sharing, I think, this week too.
Yeah, so the screen sharing has been working, and we've got Devin in here in the Zoom.
Yeah, popped in a question. Which way should audio go through? Because you've got audio coming out of Zoom, and we've got a...
So currently, we're trying to respect the Clubhouse, because the Clubhouse, you don't want to stream that. It breaks their terms of service. So right now we are just doing audio through Clubhouse only, but you can see us maybe a little off sync on the Facebook. Now, which Facebook group are we streaming live to right now?
So
and you guys do have your audio coming through Zoom too.
Yeah, so the way it's set up on, it should be on Facebook, is I have my phone right next to the mic and I'm unmuted in both places, but I have my computer volume turned off, so I can't hear Chris like coming back through. So hopefully everybody should be able to hear the Clubhouse and Facebook as well as Chris and I.
Yeah, and if we blow up this week, we'll just go back and do we'll try to do two separate things. I like the video. Again, I think people being able to come to a Facebook group and join and share screens and pain is a good thing.
Yeah,
I just wasn't sure which way the audio was coming, because I can hear you both.
Dude, I've got two different AirPods in. I've got one going to my phone and one going to my computer. I feel like a plug and play monitor from 1996.
Just an interesting note on this status stuff is I was reading an article from kind of unrelated but somewhat relevant, simple, related to when all this GameStop stuff happened, and they have like a blog post around like why they didn't go down like some of the other ones did when trading picked up, and like how their engineers scaled the platform, and they specifically talked about launching their updates like overnight to minimize impact. And it's like, you made a good point there. You say this happening in broad daylight, which, like, you know, I mean, it's broad daylight for somebody everywhere at any time, but, you know, depending on where the majority of their user base resides.
Yeah, I think that's the troubling part for business owners, is that like it's happening while they're trying to use it. Or I guess I'm specifically talking about business owners in the US and the UK, because it would still be business hours in the UK when this happened today. So I think that's the most troubling part for all the users, is it keeps happening like while we're trying to be using this. And I'm guessing like this is just really a shot in the dark, but most of the enterprise users, I'm guessing, are also based in the US, UK, Canada.
And I think it's important for people to know, if you are a heavy Airtable user, their Twitter account, their Airtable support, or Airtable status is the Twitter account. You can always get updates there. And also on the main Airtable status page, you can subscribe. So you'll get an email when it's down. Now, the good news is it's nice being told ahead of fucking time. Okay, this idea that they're just going down randomly is beyond me. I mean, a lot of people are paying big money for this and not taking any time to actually schedule this maintenance. And you know, I think it's really telling that what's going on. I'm seeing a lot of people over on the Facebook group, but also on the Reddit group and on Twitter, you know, basically saying they're getting ready to leave. Now, let's be honest, guys. Nobody's leaving Airtable. I mean, there are walled gardens, and then there are castles of pines. Right? They've got people locked down like a bad play. You know, it's so hard. I want to be so R-rated now that we're on film. But what are you going to do? You're not leaving Airtable, right? So what do you think? I mean, what are people really going to do here?
I think people will stay for Airtable, but they might. Because I feel like there's a lot of people that are locked in to Airtable, and they're still like, I would say at least 99% uptime, like probably way over that actually. But I think people will still stick with it, and they'll just put more pressure, kind of threatening with like those ads to Airtable. Like if this stuff keeps happening, like I don't think today is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but I think it could be. I mean, if this kept on happening at this frequency, I could see some people leaving, but I don't see like the people really using it a lot. I don't see them leaving.
I could see this impacting what we talked about last week, where people, you know, start on free or plus and get into it and get using it, and then, you know, maybe use it for their singular, you know, task or their work, and then bring it to their team or their broader company. Like you might see, you know, if this is going down frequently and there's reliability issues, you might see some slowdown in you know, people being comfortable bringing it broader than just their individual workspace.
Definitely, and I think that's what we're going to see. But again, there are a lot of businesses running on Airtable now. You know, it's not as dramatic as Google going down, but I do think there's enough businesses running on Airtable that this frequency of going down, which, by the way, I'd like to remind you, I was not concerned, and I still am not concerned. I still think this foretells of good things coming. All right. This is the thunderstorm that creates the rainbow so we can find the pot of gold. Someone said they'd like an offline version on one of the, I think it was Reddit or Facebook. Like, hopefully they're doing an offline version. Like, hell, at this point, I'd take an online version. Like, I mean, what is it going to take? I mean, come on. I mean, this stuff isn't cheap. So we'll see. I do want to share with this. As of today, I'm going to share one of my Airtables. I don't normally share my Airtable, but we're on video, so I can do this. My Airtable today, when my one that manages all my spirituality. I'd like the record to show on the off the record show that my feeling this morning before Airtable went down was perplexed. Like I just the feeling was perplexed, right? That was from the feeling picker, and my intention for the day was celebration. So much of that. I did not get any celebration today. So those of you missing out can watch the video next time. So,
it's for celebration.
Yeah. You know,
their updates get released.
Oh, well, listen, we've got the Gantt chart. So what else is going on this week in Airtable? I noticed that there was a new update or a new product announced from Dan, the Dan fellow there. What's his little group called?
The Built on Air Slack. Well, it's built on the Built on Air community.
Built on Air. Yeah.
Yeah, he released a new product, and what it does is it essentially gives you a dashboard of viewing one record. So it's an app, like a standalone app in the app marketplace, and you can do a lot cooler visualizations for one record, to my understanding. So Dan, if you're watching this, you can correct it if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it just allows you to see it in a lot different way. It's kind of like expanding a record, but it's a lot more user friendly if you want to be editing stuff, and it's officially approved. I do think it is. So I'm not sure. It's
okay here. It's called, I'm going to pull it up right now. It's called On to Air Amplify. And And it looks like the official description here is that Amplify enables you to view your data exactly how you want with a customizable layout. So it sounds like in a more expanded form. I got really excited about this, but I'm not sure. I almost feel like it lives in what I would call the app tray, this kind of nether region where we kind of stick stuff that we think we'd like to do, but never really get to. But apparently there is a free version. Dan said apparently you can try this out. Have you guys actually tried this? Should we add the app live on air and see if we can blow up my system? That's not.
Yeah, you can add it. Yeah, so you can. I think he did mention there's a free trial. So if you want to add it, and I think the idea with it is instead of it being like a little in that app tray over there, to use it as like a full screen record viewer rather than just kind of like a view.
Even in the app view, you still have to have a. Okay, so it's coming up now. Look at that. I can agree to terms of service. I mean, it's again, this looks pretty easy to get it going. Oh, look at that. I can just I can throw some fields on here. Is it just put them over here? Is this all this is? Kind of nice. New record, new layout. The show should have been called New Record. Who dis? Oh, this is a new layout. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not. Do you think I just drag these over? Is this the way that's going to work?
Maybe click plus new layout in the top right.
Top right. I did that one on new layout.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I remember this one was coming out. And then the other one that came out was from Airtable. They allowed webhooks in the automations. So that can be a new trigger in the internal Airtable automations right beside the apps up there. So now you can connect Airtable with many other applications than just the really internal ones.
I guess the good news is people want this because what I've long wanted with Airtable, and I'm sure a lot of people who use this know what I'm talking. So I love the card view, and I like when I'm in the form, but it always frustrates me. I can't make the form act like the web form. Like when I'm filling out the web form, I want to lock those fields down. You know, there needs to be.
Record.
Yeah. When you expand a record, it should like follow rules. I mean, I think that's what Dan's trying to do here too. Yeah, because the fact that your web form can have rules, but the form that with all the power can't, you know, I don't know. It just feels against God.
Yeah, it would be very nice to be able to put those permissions in there, but also, yeah, I think it's just because it's viewed more as an editor, but there's also not really a good way with like a form to like update a record.
Yeah. I don't know. So Ben, why don't you show us what's in your Airtable? Why don't you go ahead and pull it up and give us because I think one of the things a lot of people don't talk about is how they organize their Airtable, their actual system itself. Like and I'm not talking about your inside a base. I mean, like the overview of all your bases. Because this was a question asked in one of the groups. I'll share mine real quick so you can see it. I kind of keep all my different workspaces. You know, I've got a couple pro plans going here, but I try to keep the one that I work in most of the time lacking any color because color distracts me in a really absurd way. And the one where I'm like just working on stuff or got stuff in the past, I kind of throw down here with colors and all sorts of stuff. And then I've got a whole free plan, which is just reference spaces stuff I thought would be cool to use one day. I probably never will. I've got a whole workspace just for data that I want to integrate. Of course, everyone's got that basis share with me. That's kind of like Tinder for nerds. And then, of course, I've got a couple Airtable submissions. But how do you do yours?
So it's funny you asked that, and it's funny that you showed that one because I have a pretty similar coloring system so this is my personal workspace. This is the one I would show on YouTube. But for my personal workspace here, all the ones that I use like day to day are uncolored, but then the rest of them, like anything that has a color on it, I never check. So
we're the same. We both are colorless. We're both colorless at work and full of color at play. So maybe Airtable is some type of system to actually maybe it's the Freud of software. It literally is figuring out what makes us tick.
I'm colored. I'm a color coder.
You're color. Are you going to show us your screen? Come on, Devin. Devin flashes.
See, I have a personal account. I have a work account too. like
He's got to be really
So
good.
if you're on Clubhouse and you have no idea what we're talking about, what we're talking about is we're looking at our workspaces to see how we color coordinate the base icons so that we can like use Airtable more efficiently by knowing like which bases are what. And I used to look like what Devin has up here, which is a lot more colors.
Yeah. So see like the can you see my mouse?
Yeah, I think I can.
Yeah, so like the main one I work out of is like this production database, let's call it, and then basically like since I don't really have a lot of main ones, like there's a bunch of like junk shit in here. There's, a main one, a bunch of archives, and a few like other main ones. But I mean, yeah, GUI is maybe I don't know. Yeah, I should. Sneak peek real quick of like the big one I talk about.
So for those of you watching, or those of you not watching, Devin's showing us some of his bases, the big one he's working on. This is the production database. Ben, I'm going to assume you invited someone else to the live stream here?
Yeah, I think they came on from the Facebook group to watch.
All right.
Not sure of their name.
This is that problem I'm getting close to running.
Wow, 453 hidden fields. Okay, so Devin has a base with how many tables so you got here, Devin?
All I think for this is like basically evident right here. So basically I've got a lot code table, and then some of the reporting we do is based on like days and weeks and periods. So in order to bring totals back and do like things, I've got to bring it up by product type.
Okay.
So then you end up with like multiples of different things. Okay. So,
okay.
But anyways, I should get out of there. But
okay.
Getting large.
Yeah. So something else I thought would be fun to talk about today is Airtable Credits. We haven't addressed this on the show, and I know a lot of people who have joined the Clubhouse in the past have talked about Airtable. But how do you guys feel about Airtable Credits? I mean, I'm all over the map. I'm gonna pull my BDE right now. So this is where I'm sitting on one of my accounts.
That's a lot more than I've seen for anybody else.
Really?
Was that through the Keep Productive videos?
Well, I don't know how much of that. I think one of them, yeah. What's this? Yeah, this table only has 400 on it. That table's got 800. It was through, I don't know, a bunch of things. People were always, I get credits every day. People like find my bases online. But outside of that, and I'm not going to become one of these people who offers to sell credits on Facebook, although that is just the craziest thing. I see this more often. How do you guys feel about Airtable credits? Is it something you actually try to get? Do you use them? I noticed Devin had some Airtable credits. I think it's $46. I tried to screenshot, but I didn't want to get creepy. And 32. Yeah.
I really just got them from adding on coworkers. Like, how else do you get them?
Okay.
Yeah, I actually scored my first Airtable credit from a client today, which was exciting. But prior to that, I had not. Everybody else who had signed up or like asked for help from me, they had already had Airtable at least started. So I think that's the dilemma that I've been finding myself in if I wanted to try to go and collect a bunch of credits to credit to my workspaces. Most people will come to me and they've already started on Airtable. So I'm not like I don't get the finder's fee.
I share them with clients sometimes. I had a client recently where I invited like quite a few people from their organization. So I allowed them I applied all the credits that I got from inviting their team to their base. That way, whenever they decide they want to upgrade, they have a head start.
Okay. Yeah, to me, these like base credits is something I've been dying to talk to you guys about. It sounds like people have pretty, I guess, benign feelings about them. Like I said, I'm a big fan, but it's kind of crazy how much people are selling them online. Something else I would love to talk about, since we've got a bunch of people online and we can visually show this. What do you guys do for primary keys? Because I'm a concatenate junkie for that primary key.
Yeah, I also use concatenate a bunch, and I actually just released a video today on my YouTube channel about the importance of having a primary key that's unique.
Now, do you have any primary keys that are just outrageously huge?
I personally do not. I have built some for like junction tables for other people that end up being like pretty big.
Okay. Because the what? Go ahead.
For any newbies, why don't you guys explain layman's term, what does primary key mean?
Good point.
Absolutely. So when you think about your Airtable, we'll look at my Airtable right here and we'll describe it. You got your tables going across the top, those are your tabs, but then you've got your records, right? Or what some people call rows, and then you've got columns, right? A primary key in Airtable and any database, and this is not Grandpa Cyborg's education hour, but I guess we'll pretend it is for just a moment, is the very first record. So that very first field in any table is what we call the primary key. And what makes that primary key special is it's the glue. It's the unique glue. It's the DNA of the database. So basically, anytime you have a record in any one of your tables and you link it to another table, that primary key is what links those two together. So in this table, I'm looking at a calendar table. I might have a table right behind this called Almanac. When I click into the record and I link it, it's actually linking the primary key. It's the field in which you look up to. So does that make sense? When I described it, primary key, it was Monty that asked that, right? Yeah.
I did. I knew what you meant, but I just wanted to make sure everybody did. Yeah, I'm a fan of cacophony as well. I use it frequently. Not as long as the one you just showed, though.
I think it's
this is a good one.
Doesn't Airtable handle primary keys like somewhat differently than? Like, don't they have like a unique ID in the background that they like?
They have their record ID.
Feed to.
Yeah, they completely have a primary key in the background, or else it just wouldn't fall apart. Because I remember there was a time when I used it, and it used to be like, that's duplicate. But they must have done something in the past couple of years, because it doesn't give me that. It's a duplicate field anymore. And some other things I think I just want to mention that I think are really good. Do you guys do anything where you ever like have a base where you've got like similar fields every single time? Do you guys have any, like, I call it like a template where like, that everything is the same way every single time? We talked about this last time, I think.
Yeah, I have a like template CRM that I try to base everything off of, but a lot of times,
so you do have one.
People have pretty unique cases, so you still have to add a lot of customization for views, fields, and that kind of stuff. But if you can explain the value of all the fields in the views that you have pre-existing, then a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then they'll end up going with like what you suggest or what you already have.
Yeah, I have a pretty standard format where I do like projects on one tab and then tasks on another, and the way that I link them. I use that kind of general format and like the fields in there pretty regularly across different clients.
So what I do in all my bases, I always have a table called Maker, kind of like it's a nod to vampires. And in the Maker table, I always have a default view for every perfect view, if that makes sense, along with the default fields I would want. And in each one, I always have the perfect description of what each field's description would be, so they kind of understand how it works. And then throughout the entire system, and again, classes and stuff like that. But what it allows me to do is just come in here and duplicate this whole field every time I use it. I just remove the tables I don't want. I also have a Maker app area where I've got like the best practices to kind of understand that. And Ben, we've talked about this before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
In addition to Maker, in every single table I do, and Ben, we talked about this last time, I always have what I call a wizard table that explains everything going on in the base with quick launches to get to the different parts of the base. Do you guys do anything like that? A table just that explains the base itself?
No, but I definitely need to.
Yeah. So, yeah. So for those of you who can't see this at home, we'll put the video up. But what I do is I have all my regular bases. I've got my Maker one, but then I've got a table about tables, right? So I can come in here and kind of understand what each table does, what fields are in each table, and then what type of number it is, or field type, etc. So it actually works out really good, I think, in the long run. And a lot of times, I think what people, so you can even see the Maker table itself is in the wizard table. It really gives you kind of a comprehensive view when you're explaining to your client or trying to add on to your client, because a lot of us have to then sell these things or work with other people. They go, oh, I kind of like that. So kind of a little Airtable. Now that I can do more than just talk on the Clubhouse, I can talk and share, but I'm having to describe what I say a lot.
It's like taking the base schema app to the next level.
Yeah.
More data in there. Because that, I mean, it's not the greatest app in the world, but
I don't find that useful though.
yeah. The only sort of system like that that I've been implementing is having one table all the way at the end to have like resources. So for any, and it's more for like more just the advanced stuff that's in the base that a beginner wouldn't be able to understand. So any of how the automations work with the trigger and all the actions, how all the formulas are written, and like some notes about the formula so they can maybe understand it, as well as links to YouTube videos if they are curious on how they're made. So yeah, formulas, automations, and then also that's kind of where I keep some of the questions for clients. Like I'll ask questions about specific things, and I usually make a drop down with every single table name. Yep. And then like it's a question about this table.
I really want to do this, but I also just put my base schema on, and I'm now terrified of making something like
Your
that.
base schema looks like it might be from another dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could be like
the app is not useful for one, but this also explains why this is getting to like an extreme level of like complication. Like I can't even zoom into this because I think the one thing that drives me nuts is that this tracks like lookups and rollups, where like it should just be like an option to track linked things.
So in your field names, you don't have any specific nomenclature either. Your field names are just the field names. You don't use any iconography to really describe them or anything, do you?
I don't. I try and stick to like a standard like language, let's say, like. But I mean, so it gets lost.
Does every field have a date? Does every date field have the word date in it?
Yes and no. Some of the fields we use for date are actually date time. Like we're more interested in the time.
Yeah. So
we have a process start time. Like ideally, you could just like automatically have some kind of way to like do today's date when they enter the time, but like it's more like seed process start time, right? So we're more interested in the time than the date. So.
It's interesting because like one of the things I found as my base got more complicated, and I think this is kind of like what we call just like base maintenance, is like I always use certain words that tie to the field type so I can find them quickly when I'm searching for them, writing a script or something. So like date, to your point, Devin, time. But one I found is really useful is adding nice for things that I've created that are really formatted really well. So I want to pull something on the report, I type nice, and it'll always be at the end of the field name in parentheses. So just, nice date, nice time, nice record name, you know what I mean? So it's the pretty versions of the data. And I've noticed that adding nice makes it fun.
And I've noticed adding nice makes it fun. Yeah, I use either like nat for natural or clean, because sometimes if I'm doing stuff with page design and you want linked fields to show up as like just text instead of the janky like or clean for different things.
I love the fact that there is kind of this unwritten set of behaviors that people who use Airtable are doing, like use nat and clean. I guess nat for natural. Yeah, and I'm sitting there using nice. So it's
and I'm sitting there using nice. Well, that's for like when you have those, like when you're trying to display a linked item on a page designer, and it shows up as the bubble, so you can't change the font size or anything.
It's funny.
It's funny.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but even in my view names always have iconography. So I use like the universe emoji for where it's really big, and then for any view that has just open records, it's the sun. Records that have just closed will just be the moon. Records that kind of delineate everything will be the earth. I don't know. To me, it's become a real lifesaver because a lot of times when I'm darting through the system, it's really hard to remember how I did things if I don't have them in a real particular format. Does that make sense? I don't know. To me, views are so hard. Ben, what do you do? You build the
base icons? Are those the emojis at the beginning of the base name?
Yeah, if you want like a base image, all you do is put an emoji at the beginning of the name, and it makes it up there.
feel like that's one of those things that people would love to do, but they just have no idea it's even possible.
Yeah, all you do is, I mean, a lot of people use these things, but you just put the.
All you do is, I mean, a lot of people
you
use
just put
these
it
things,
there,
but you
it's
just
kinda
put
nice.
you just put it there. It's kind of nice.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, I definitely noticed.
yeah, and it's fun. I think it makes them so much more visible and
It's
usable.
fun. I think it makes them
The
so
other
much
thing I've
more
been working
visible
on, I
and
know
useful.
you guys have, we talked about kind
the
of
other thing
different
I've been
plugins,
working on,
but this is Pori. You know, I know we've talked about Pori a bunch of times in the past, but it's really a slick little tool for you guys haven't used it. You might want to check it out. I think they have a free version too. But the entire thing just works by adding these sections. And again, you can add just like, I don't know, I've used Stacker a few times. So they've got all these contents, or you can add other Airtables. Like, so you can just come, you don't have to point to just one Airtable. You can have a Pori site points to one Airtable for one thing, another Airtable for another thing. So for example, if I go to this particular Pori site, like the live version of it, you'll see that the main site is pointing to one Airtable where I can come in here and actually see these records and people can browse them. But if I go to the back of this Pori site, there's a completely different Airtable embedded in the bottom of this, which has nothing to do with that other front one. Does that make sense?
How much can you limit the data being displayed in those?
So the good news and the bad news about something like Pori, because like listen, we all want our Airtable to live on a pretty site like this. I'm launching this thing here in a few weeks, but I love the fact that people can come in here and launch all this. The good news is you can limit a lot of it. The bad news is it's actually limited by default. So if I come in here, to your point, and I say, hey, I want to edit these cards, I only get so many fields I can display. So it's not like an unlimited thing. Now I can do like a record view, you know, like we can in Airtable.
Yeah.
Or I can do a modal view where I add more. Sometimes if I want to create even more content, I'll just have a very robustly organized field inside Airtable, like this one, where it's easier to see. But again, I'm sorry, say it one more time.
It's like a really big concatenate.
No, this is just a rich text field where I have a template. Every time I create a new record, it puts in here, so I put the ratings in. But again, you get enough fields that I think if you were wanting to use something like a Pori, it would make sense. Plus, again, this is just a much faster way to look at your Airtable, and then, you know, we normally have it. And I don't remember, it might be free. But again, this is just a really nice Pori. You got these 3 different pages. I got another one here I'll show you guys too that came out really. This is the one I built for a client. Same type of thing. You'll be familiar with the outlet now, but this one I can actually add a voting system so that people can physically come in here and vote on records externally. Does that make sense?
That's pretty slick.
Right?
Is that right? That view?
Yep, this is like a product hunt. Yep, and this is also looking at the same Airtable, but it's allowing me to come out and see these judges for this client. So you can actually integrate them right into LinkedIn. You can come out and see what events are coming up, or you can come out and actually submit a product. So again, you know, totally simple, built on Airtable. Pori front end, I think Pori's free for one site right now. And it just is really fine. So I don't know. Are you guys using any other front ends, or do you play with any, or you want to talk about any while we're in here today? I just feel so free now that we're visual.
I've played with Stacker. That's like the only one that I've really used. I know a lot of people have been asking me about mini extensions. And sometimes I think it's Abdul. He's in our Clubhouse, but I just haven't gotten in there and tried it out or tested it or anything. I was a fan of Stacker, and I know there's like Softer now and Pori and a few, like Air Connects and a few other ones, but I just haven't gotten in there because I don't specifically have the use case for me, because I just give people views. I don't need them to edit data.
Yeah. Softer, I've got them up on the screen. I don't know. Devin, have you tried Softer? They just.
No, I really tried.
Like you're so just. I really haven't tried anything. I'm in my bay. I don't even use emoji.
Embedded a bit on.
But I think so. I was just what I was meant today about Softer. You know, they've got a lifetime discount going on. So basically, these lifetime things are always scary. I signed up to Calm. I don't know if you guys know Calm, the meditation app. You've never heard of Calm, the meditation app, Ben? Or Devin, you've heard of it, haven't you? Calm, C-A-L-M. Yeah. I bought the Calm. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. I'm from the East
It was
Coast.
like .com.
No, not .com. Calm. I don't know how you'd say it. Long story short, I signed up for Christmas for their lifetime program. I didn't get any calmer. So, yeah, I literally wanted a refund. I'm like, okay, I just bought lifetime and it's not working yet. But I think you literally.
Stressful app I've ever been on.
Thank you.
Like, why does it
They
sound
have
like the
some TV,
rain
don't they?
when you get on? It's like,
I know.
like as soon as you open the app, like it gives me a panic attack.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
For this.
Chris, do you use Amuse at all?
And been a bit concerned.
Of course. Dude, you know who I am.
Who I am.
I know. I figured it'd be a dumb question, but I was like, might as well ask.
I know Ariel, the CEO.
What I pointed to on the
I know
video,
Ariel, the
Muse,
CEO.
Muse meditation headband.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of that, but I have not used
Question
it.
for you guys on this. Okay. Question for you guys on this whole, like, I guess, like, low code, like, dashboarding thing, like, more specifically on dashboards. Like, have you guys found anything that can better create charts? Maybe in a way that's not simply on the chart app and can have, like, a chart with other things beside it on a dashboard?
Not that
No, I mean, the
close.
close. Not exactly. Not that plays well the Airtable. I mean, I've got some things. I mean, ever since I've learned, and I just recently learned this to show you. Everyone was like, "Chris, you're so smart with Airtable." Like, no, I'm not. I just recently learned you can do a whole field or expand that tray, and that kind of made it nicer because it allows me to have and see, like, it almost looks like a real dashboard, if you know what I mean. But do you mean that, or you mean just like something like radically else? Like, here's mine. I've got my bill calendar for my bills coming up, my different accounts, so I can like. Yeah, I run a full screen so I can get into everything. And one of the things I started doing recently with this is I've also started embedding the forms right in here. I don't know if you've done that, but actually embedding your forms, because that way you can have the record control you want.
Yeah, I think the coolest one of these that I saw, or it's not like the coolest dashboard that I saw built, but it was from, and I might be saying this wrong, but Ali Alosa. She's one of the Built on Air podcast hosts, but she was showing us in the Built on Air community, she had written a script that would like change. You could just like click a button in the dashboard and it would change the data entered into the charts. So that it would be like dynamic, like you could change one factor and it would show you the same charts but different data in there, like filtered differently based on what like subsection of your business or of multiple businesses you wanted to see. I thought that one was the coolest one.
Devin, something else you can do is you can literally just embed all of this. So I have
embed them. Yeah. Which is useful to a point. Like, it's useful if you want to embed like multiple apps or with a view together, but it's less useful if you want to do something like cross between charts and page points, like described with more items.
And that's where I think if we had a Notion front end on Airtable, we'd be in business. I don't know if you've ever used Notion, but Notion rocks out hardcore with that view you're talking about. Looks like a custom page designer in a dashboard, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be. I think it's coming. Again, I think all these things are coming. I just don't think they're there yet.
Chris, I'm interested to hear if we're willing to go on a little tangent. Notion versus Airtable, because I've just recently got into Notion and am starting to rethink my loyalty to Airtable because I really like how Notion has more functionality.
Yeah. I don't know if we have enough time left in the show for that tangent.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Another day.
I'll just say this. I am not a Notion fan. They follow me on Twitter. I think it's a cute product, but Notion is to work what Instagram is to like authenticity. It looks real good. It looks real good.
I encourage anybody like thinking about moving to Notion from Airtable, like to look at their API integrations. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I've been looking into recently on like how robust a platform's API is. And I actually just evaluated Notion this week for a client, and like it won't connect to any of the. I don't think it connects with Zapier or Integromat. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the biggest limitation that I saw from outside view of it. I didn't even get into it.
Interesting. That's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, again, I think that was Maddie. I think it was you'll get or Monty. You'll get like a really robust system. I literally had and I still have to this day a super robust Notion system. But underneath, when you get in and you want to manipulate the records and do all the things we're talking about, it's just impossible. You know, I'd rather. I think if we were going to fast forward in time, go out to what would it be, March 10th, 2022. All these problems we're talking about are solved, right?
All these problems we're talking about are solved.
I know. I mean, you can almost guarantee Airtable's going to have a lot of these things. And we had someone who was like, you guys remember last week? Had someone from who's like a big Airtable customer saying, like, we got new views coming. He couldn't officially say it, but he's in the beta. I mean, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, he was an enterprise customer.
Yeah.
Question is, what kind of views would you want?
Dude, I just want folders. Literally, I know you don't have to do much to them views. You just have to like not have 900 of them stacked. Personal view, like I mean, it's just ridiculous. Oh well, sorry.
I just want Airtable to stay live and not crash.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
I got lucky at a meeting during that today.
I mean, if you really want like a first world pet peeve, I also want a view that you lock and you can't lock without like a second form of identity, because I'm always locking views so I don't mess them up, and then I'll put a note in there saying, Chris, don't do it, and I still do it. It's like a heroin addict getting close to Courtney Cox or not Courtney Love right before the Grammys. You know, you see it and you're like, no, I'm gonna unlock it just this once. I won't mess it up. And then you just get in there. All this stuff breaks. You guys know what I'm talking about? Do you ever unlock your locked view after you've warned yourself not to?
I think that's where folders would get really interesting. Is if you could just dump everything you've used externally into a folder. Yeah. It's like a do not touch this folder.
Back in the days in the early 90s when I was being a database administrator, we literally had these things. They were called call groups, but basically they were queries. And you just put them in folders, right? They're personal call groups, group call, team call groups, and public call groups. Same thing with, we call them auto tasks, but they'd be automations, right? So all your automations should live in these same 3 folder structures. And they're probably going to do something like that, but we still aren't even to the point where our automations, we just got them, but we're kind of running into problems. I mean, are you using the Airtable automations to
you can only
make them
20 so like if you had a folder, if you had 5 folders, you'd have 5 in each folder.
Oh, so there's a limit on how many automations you can do?
In one base, you can have 25.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But on each automation, you can have 25 actions, I believe.
Yeah.
So if you're good at building them, then you can work around it.
Yeah.
I just have a bunch of email alerts.
I don't even have emails. I got one that actually sends me an email every day, so I can get the information from my base in my email. It's basically just a really pretty record. I got another one that actually writes to my calendar every day, so I can have the base information on my calendar. And I have one that tweets every day. So like this Twitter here sends out information from my base every morning. I don't know if you guys do anything.
You just share to external calendar to share with your calendar rather than using up an automation.
Because that particular automation to write to my calendar, I want to be able to edit those calendar entries with more information. If I do the share, I can't change it from the calendar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
Yeah. But this integration into Twitter is pretty cool. Because again, I think having Airtable tweet out this content to me every single day has been a real lifesaver. Same way I get it every single day as a email. And the email's really nice because you can format the email to be all really sexy and stuff.
We actually got our enterprise user from last week. He just joined.
Hey, Howard.
Hey, Howard. So today, Howard, we're live in the Facebook group as well, the Airtable community Facebook group. So
right on.
if you want to rewatch this or re-listen to any of it, it'll be live in there.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Had a busy day.
How was the Airtable outage on the enterprise side?
Pardon?
Did you guys have an Airtable outage today?
We did. I think we were, it was like maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, and then we got a bunch of Zapier notifications, but I didn't get any complaints from any users specifically, other than there was a couple of chats of, hey, is Airtable down? And then within a few minutes, it was back up for everybody.
I think it was out considerably longer for everybody else.
Yes.
I feel spoiled sometimes. It was funny. I was actually just reading the outage log, and I was like, "Oh wow, it was out for close to 2 hours." And then I thought, that's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things in terms of what they're trying to accomplish and whatnot. So it's I think from a infrastructure standpoint, I'm very, very fascinated by their overall architecture and how they deploy and scale and maintain resilience and whatnot.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, hopefully between now and next week, I think they are deploying something. I don't know. Howard probably knows for sure.
No, I do not know what it is, but I'm praying for view management. So.
It just seems like an interesting time to deploy something versus, like more off hours.
Yeah, I honestly have never asked when they deploy. I always just feel like randomly there's new stuff.
Well, I hope it's either overnight or they move it to overnight.
I'll inquire on it too, in terms of if they do have a more predictable release schedule, and then that some of that can be, semi-publicized. It is interesting that, they release a lot of features on the roadmap and even to the beta that, a lot of people even in the public sphere know about, but then they don't actually tell us when those betas are actually being promoted to production.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing here is pretty well every other service you go on, you have scheduled maintenance notifications. Like you go on, Google, it's just, scheduled maintenance happening at this such and such a time, these services will be down. So I can't help but think every time Airtable goes down, it's a problem, not a result of something being added. And so the lack of transparency there actually reduces trust in the service by, because if I knew if it was something being deployed or scheduled maintenance, then that's fine, but it's the unpredictable nature that
I actually wonder, because there's a lot of their growth is so
Chris, you want to
new.
mute yourself?
If they just haven't either thought about or gotten that feedback. So that's an interesting piece of feedback. I'll be sure to give them. We're actually working on our renewal right now, so it's a great time.
Now's a good time to say I'd like a little heads up. Well, that's the thing. I was talking earlier about I love being subscribed to the Airtable outage net tracker, but not after the fact. It's like, can I subscribe to the update that lets me know an outage is coming? Yeah, no, that's probably not going to happen. Cool. All right. Well, next week we'll have to figure out how to do this. We'll get this going better next time. And Devin, hopefully you'll be able to help us sort out which earphones not, or we just listen. We have our normal Clubhouse where we talk. But I just feel Airtable is so visual, and people want to be able to see us or kind of see it. They can't be there at that time.
I mean, we could just do Clubhouse plus Zoom and can the Facebook part, and then that way you just run audio through Clubhouse, run Zoom for any visuals, and then you're not worried about audio going to Facebook.
Does anybody have a Pro Zoom subscription?
I do.
Because if you have a Pro Zoom, you can also live stream from Zoom to Facebook.
And I think that's what we're doing now.
I think that's what we're doing now.
That's what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah, so that might be pretty cool.
Yeah, so then the benefit is people can watch later, and we'll see how long this one will be able to stay up. It's in the Facebook group, but we'll see. So next week we'll try to do the same thing, and we'll add the link in the Facebook group. So if you want to join the Zoom, you can join through the Facebook group, and if you want to join the Clubhouse room, you can join also through the Facebook group.
What's the Facebook group?
Airtable Community.
Let's see if I'm in there or not.
But yeah, thank you.
I've hidden so much stuff over the past year because of chaos. Let's see.
But yeah, thank you all for coming. I know we did have Monty in here. We had Devin. We had Guy in here earlier. Thank you, and Chris as well. Thank you for showing up. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. And I look forward to talking with everybody next week.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ben.
We'll talk to you later.
Talk to you.